Today is Friday, the 26th of May, 2023. This is the Camnet TV Breakfast Show, a show that comes to your screen every morning. And this is your host, Prudence Chota. We sincerely apologize for starting this program slightly late. This was due to a technical challenge that has been, however, resolved. But we are here, of course, to have an interaction. And this morning, the question that we are asking is, Zambia ready for the Continental Free Trade Area? Remember, yesterday, the 25th of May, we were celebrating the Africa Day, and it was being held under the theme, Acceleration of the African Continental Free Trade Area. This was a theme that the entire African continent was yesterday looking at as they were commemorating the Africa Day, which falls on the 25th of May each year. So the question we are asking this morning is, Zambia ready for the Continental Free Trade Area? We know the yesterday's theme resides with the aspect of having this free trade area being accelerated and implemented. But are we ready as a country for that? So we can get to interact. Those who are just tuning in to Camnet TV, this is a breakfast show, and we have apologized for starting the program late because we had some technical challenges. But of course, we are here to have an interaction. So before I bore you with a lot of talking, let's go into our health corner and see what Dr. Mufaya has for us this morning.
Good morning, and I'm glad that you could join us here on the Health Corner on the Breakfast Show. I am Dr. Nakuyana Mfaya. So this week we have been talking about community-acquired pneumonia, and this is pneumonia that comes about from having an infection that you have gotten from the community that you're living in. We're getting into the cold season, so many people are going to be having this condition because of being indoors mostly and being in close proximity with other people who might have the bacteria or the virus or the fungi that can cause pneumonia. So we discussed that pneumonia can be caused by bacteria, can be caused by virus or a fungi. And we also say that this pneumonia can also present in certain ways, such as having a fever or having a cough and chest pain. If it's very severe, the patient would have difficulties in breathing as well. Then we talked about the diagnosis and treatment, and we say that pneumonia can be diagnosed with a chest x-ray that has to be done at the hospital, and submitting sputum samples to verify or to check what type of bacteria it is and what type of antibiotics to use for this bacteria, or if it's a virus, what type of virus is it. Then we talked about the treatment, and we say that treatment can be done based on the organism causing it. So if it's a virus, then sometimes it can be self-limiting. Sometimes you need to take antiviral medications. Then if it's a bacteria, then you need to be given antibiotics. If it's a fungi, you need to be given antifungal medications. So those are some of the ways in which pneumonia can be treated in the hospital. There are certain complications that can arise from pneumonia or having pneumonia, and some of the complications include having an abscess in your lungs. So an abscess can form in your lungs, and it would have to be treated, of course, with the antibiotics or antifungals, depending on the causative agent of that abscess or the pneumonia. Then the other thing is that you could have what we call a pleural effusion. So fluid can accumulate in the pleural space, which is the space outside of your lungs. And so because of the pneumonia that you have, you find that some fluid accumulates in the lungs, and it can be very detrimental to your breathing, so you will not be able to breathe well, and it will have to be drained. Some of the fluid has to be drained from the lungs to relieve that that pressure that is created by the fluid in the lungs. Then there are other complications as well, such as having pus in the same pleural space. It can cause pus collection in the pleural space. If the pneumonia is very severe, it can cause what we call a shock. So you can have septic shock because of pneumonia, and that can be very deadly, and it can even lead to death if it's very severe. So it's important that you get treatment for pneumonia very early to prevent all these complications and to prevent you from spreading the infection to others as well. So we'll talk about how you can prevent pneumonia. Some of the ways you can prevent pneumonia is by covering your cough or your sneeze whenever you cough or sneeze, to prevent you from spreading it to other people. The other way is that you need to be able to eat a healthy diet so that your immune system can be strong, and also exercise as well to improve your immune system. So exercise and eating healthy are ways in which we can improve or increase our immunity and improve our immune system to prevent us from getting bacterial infections or viral infections that can harm us and cause pneumonia. The other thing is that if you are a smoker, then try to stop smoking or reduce on smoking, because that can lead you to getting pneumonia and also getting other infections as well. So these are ways in which we can prevent ourselves from getting pneumonia. Make sure that you wash your hands all the time, because they could be bacteria or viruses that you have gotten from the environment or from shaking other people's hands or from the surface areas around that can cause pneumonia. So make sure you wash your hands on a regular basis and avoid unnecessary handshakes with people, so that you cannot get these bacteria that can cause pneumonia. So make sure you protect yourself, protect others as well, and take care of yourself. If you have any symptoms, get treatment early, go to the hospital as soon as possible and seek treatment, and you will be helped. You'll be given the medications that are needed, and you will become better. So I do hope you learned something this week. Make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel and also watch my YouTube videos. That if you have missed any of the sessions here on the Health Corner on the Breakfast Show. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to me on Facebook at Dr. Nakubyanamfire. I'll see you again next time. Make sure you stay healthy, stay blessed, and have a lovely weekend.
There you have it, Dr. Mfire there, and she was talking about pneumonia, some of the symptoms and how you can get treatment. It is important for us to ensure that we wash our hands. I think that's one thing I've really picked from, the explanation she was giving. She says, avoid sometimes handshake. I know in Africa, we really value handshakes, and it's like if you've not shaken hands with someone, you've not greeted them and stuff like that. But Dr. Mfire says, let us ensure that we wash our hands on a regular basis. It's very important, because once you greet someone who has the bacteria, you also have carried that bacteria and are likely to have pneumonia. So she has emphasized the need to ensure that we wash our hands, avoid handshakes at all costs. Sometimes, you don't really have to. You can, even that is greeting. Sometimes after COVID, we were even taught this sign of greeting one another. But it is important that we follow the health tips that our our doctor keeps giving us on the breakfast show. So that was Dr. Mfaya. And in case you have a question on some particular illnesses or conditions that you'd like the doctor to discuss, you can send her a message on our Facebook page. And also at Camnet TV, you can send us a message and we'll be able to forward it to the doctor who's going to look at that. Remember, yesterday we were commemorating the African Freedom Day, and it was being held under the theme Acceleration of the African Continental Free Trade Area Implementation. So the question that I'm asking you on the breakfast show this morning is Africa ready for the Continental Free Trade Area? We were expecting our guest in studio, but unfortunately we could not accommodate him because earlier our system was down. That's why we've started the program slightly late. So we had to excuse the guest, but we can still get to interact. Those of us watching us on different platforms, you can just give us a call or send us that message, and let's get to hear what you have to say with regards to today's topic of discussion. Is Zambia ready for the Africa Continental Free Trade Area? We know a number of issues and aspects have been discussed with regards to the topic we are discussing this morning. And yesterday also we did speak to Professor Bizek Piri, who says, before we can even talk about free trade area as a country, we need to industrialize, because our industrial sector apparently is very weak. So how can you allow to open borders as a country when you don't even have proper industries in your country? So for him, accelerating the process, the Continental Free Trade Area Initiative for him is a good thing. But where the problem is Zambia. We've not industrialized enough to compete on the free trade area. That was Professor Bizek. They are speaking to Camnet TV. We also spoke to one of the freedom fighter. Actually, she's been prominent in offering, comments with regards to freedom in Africa. And yesterday, she also commented to the fact that, we need to ensure that we attain economic freedom. She says, in as much as we've attained this freedom, our economy in Africa does not really perform well, and we cannot really say we are free if the economies are not performing according to expectations. So that was one of the stories that made headline in our news yesterday. But even before we zoom into that story, we are going to see how is it that our local currency is performing against other major comparables on the money market as of today. Remember, today is a Friday. We are closing this week, and we need to see how is it that the kwacha is performing against other major comparables. So today, the 26th of May 2026, the kwacha there is buying there against the Great British Pound at 23 kwacha 59 ingwe and selling at 24 kwacha 06 ingwe. The Zambian kwacha against the United States dollar buying at 19 kwacha 02 ingwe and selling at 19 kwacha 14 ingwe. I think this is the same as the way it was yesterday. And of today, euro against the kwacha is buying at 20 kwacha 52 ingwe, pardon me, and selling at 20 kwacha 95 ingwe. The Zambian kwacha against the South African rand is buying at 0.99 ingwe and selling at 1.01 ingwe. So that is the money market for today as of 25th of May 2023 on a Friday as we come to the close of the week. That is how our local currency is performing. We've seen kwacha depreciate slightly there from where it was last week and the week before, because we did see just a month ago the kwacha appreciate to as low as 17 kwacha, and we hope to know that was going to be constant, but we are now going into 19 kwacha. We just wish government and all stakeholders all the best, even as they govern the country, to ensure that we all benefit. Remember, if they succeed, we all succeed. But if they fail, we probably have equally failed. Don't wish government to fail, because you will equally be affected by the impact of their failure. If anything, let's wish them success, so that even as we aspire to see other leaders take over, they'll find things are okay. Remember, this government has been complaining that they can't, do what they intend to do, because we have this huge debt burden that was carried over from the previous administration. So when the previous administration failed, this administration is also having a challenge on where to pick it up from. So don't wish this government to fail, but what we can do is offer solutions to some of the economic challenges that we are facing as a country. And this is why this breakfast show is brought to your screen, and we give you an opportunity to just call, make those submissions and contributions. So as I mentioned earlier, we were expecting a guest in studio, but because our system was down when we came in the morning, we had to excuse our guest. But anyway, we are here and we are getting to interact. So that was the story that we did yesterday, where Bizek Piri has advised that we need to industrialize as a country before we talk about the Continental Free Trade Area. Professor Bizek Piri is also a lecturer at the University of Zambia. This has been prominent in offering solutions to some of the economic challenges that we face. So let's zoom into that story that made headline before we can see other stories and also get to interact. As per tradition, on the 25th of May each year, the African continent celebrates its Africa Day, and Zambia is not a stranger to this custom. The 2023 Africa Day is being commemorated under the theme Acceleration of the African Continental Free Trade Area Implementation. Historian Bizek Piri has, however, questioned whether Zambia is ready for the African Continental Free Trade Area, considering that the country's industrial sector still remains weak.
If you look at our industries, they are at a very low level. They have not reached a level where we can proudly say we are producing enough, we have excess, and therefore that excess now we are sharing, we are able to export. Yes, free trade at the global, at the regional, the continental level is good, but we must have strong industries. Are we creating industries that can produce things that we can share?
Meanwhile, Zambia United National Freedom Fighter Association Treasurer Mama Betty Chiluba says inasmuch as Africa and Zambia have attained their freedom, economic freedom has not yet been attained, and says much needs to be done to ensure that the economies perform to the expectation of the people.
We won it already when we fought for this struggle. But what has remained now our enemy of African countries is the development economy. So we have to work very hard to be united with our leaders, with our presidents, the cabinets in every country, and all the citizens, so that we see how best we can put the right strategies like our leaders are doing, are telling us. We get so that we have the development.
And on a lighter note, one of the freedom fighters says he has been blessed with 15 children and 86 grandchildren, all because of the freedom that Zambia and African continent have continued to enjoy, further calling on the Zambian people to support the leadership of President Hakainde Hichilema.
In my age, I'm 86 years old, and I've got 15 children. Grandchildren, 87 years. So I'm very, very, very happy today. I couldn't say much of that. Other bad words? No. Just listen to the government, what President is saying.
While Africa enjoys its freedom and is blessed with many natural resources, much still needs to be done to end the wars that have characterized some African countries, as well as attain its economic freedom. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News. Is Zambia ready for the Africa Continental Free Trade Area? Is the discussion we are having this morning. That was one of the stories that made headline in our news yesterday, where we did speak to historian Professor Bizek Piri there, who was saying, in as much as this is a good thing, the whole initiative of the African Continental Free Trade Area, as a country, we have not industrialized. Our industries are very weak. So competing in the African Continental Free Trade Area might be a challenge for the country. He says, if anything, what we should be looking at is industrializing, so that even as we are speaking about, trading without barriers, you have things to trade with, because as it stands, there are very few things in the country that you can actually export to other countries. Remember, for non-traditional export, we are really at a lower rate, and mostly we just maybe export things like, sugar, is part of the things we export, sometimes soya cake and other low stuff. So we need to industrialize as a country if we are to trade in the continental free trade area. That was according to Professor Bizek Piri. And then we also did see Mama Betty Chiluba there, who's a freedom fighter, saying, you know, Africa, yes, is free, but economic-wise, there is a lot that we can do. And then on a lighter note there, we did also see Mr. Peter Malumbika there saying, you know, Africa is free. And because of the freedom we've enjoyed, I am blessed with 15 children and 87 grandchildren. He didn't have much to say. All he was saying is, let us ensure that we work with the current administration to ensure that there is development in our country. When we work together collectively, definitely we will achieve a lot as a country. Remember, if you want to go fast, you will go alone. But if you want to go further, you will go as a team. So working together in unison is very important. So yesterday's African Freedom Day's theme was accelerating of the African Continental Free Trade Area implementation. The entire African continent was basing its celebration on this theme. So this morning on this breakfast show, the question we are asking is Africa, is Zambia in particular, ready for the African Continental Free Trade Area? You too there can add your voice by calling the number that are on the screen or by sending us a message on different platforms, and we'll be able to attend to that. So that was one of the stories that made headline in our news yesterday. And then also, we did see some traders at Kamwala Market in Lusaka yesterday. There's a section which they call Ramba Market. It's an area within Kamwala Market, just behind big mosque shops there. Those traders have been told that the land which they occupy, they've been trading there for years. If you've been there, you will realize that those traders who've been along that place have been there for quite some time. I remember when I first came to Lusaka some years back and stuff like that, we would go actually to Kamwala to buy things, and those guys were there. That was even before they built their shops. They've been trading from there. But unfortunately, a named Chinese national has come and produced title to the market land which they have occupied, and they've been told that they should evacuate that place so that he can build whatever he wants to build there. Then he's told them that where there is a road, you know, there is a road path there, they are going to build them makeshift stores, which they are going to be renting for a period of 2 years, paying 2,000 to the named Chinese national. So they are removing them from where they've been trading and putting them on the other side. And then, you know, they remove you from your shop, they give you a temporary shop, and then in that temporary shop, you are being made to pay 2,000 kwacha to the named Chinese national. You know, this gives me a lot of questions, and, you know, it worries me. The rate at which we are selling land in the country leaves much to be desired. Honestly speaking, even in the markets, we now have foreigners owning land. Quite a sad scenario there. About 106 shops have been affected, and those guys will have to bring down their shops because a Chinese national has bought that land in the market and is about to start constructing. So what am I talking about before we get to see to talk more in this particular story? Let's zoom it in and then let's get to interact. Okay, before we zoom in, I think we have a caller. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. You're through to Camnet TV Breakfast Show. You can tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
My name is Wilfred Mulenga. I'm calling from Chilende.
Mr. Mlenga from Chilende, it's good to know you're tuned in this morning. Please go ahead with your contribution.
Yes, the name that you are pronouncing is not Betty Chiluba.
Mkwai.
It is Betty Chilunga.
Chilunga?
Yes.
Okay.
Eh?
All right, thank you for that correction. Mama Betty Chilunga.
Mama Betty Chilunga, not Chiluba.
Sure.
Yes.
All right, thank you for that correction.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, so that is Mr. Mlinga from Chilenge there. He says the freedom fighter. In the earlier story that we zoomed in is actually Mama Betty Chilunga and not Chiluba, as was mentioned in the news. So thank you for that correction, and we will be able to correct it even in the news that we had in that particular script. So thank you for that correction. But of course, we were talking about the situation where some of the traders at Lusaka's Lubamba market in Lusaka's Kamwala area have pleaded with President Hakainde Hichilema to revoke a land title that was given to a Chinese national on their trading places. So remember, when a land title is given, the only one who has the authority to revoke that license is the president. So they are appealing to the president to intervene. And then they also mentioned that, you know, the area member of parliament and the councillor took them to a private meeting where they advised them to say, you know, these guys have produced this land title. The best you can do is agree with the terms and conditions you are being given to move and be allocated to a different place. But these guys have said, no, you can't move us from our shops and take us to rent in a small, you know, store compared to what we have at the moment. So let's zoom into that story that made headline in our news yesterday, and let's get to interact. These are over 300 traders at Lubamba section of Lusaka's Kamwala market behind Big Mose shops who have been affected by a notice given to them that they should vacate their trading spaces because the Chinese national has produced a title to the land they have occupied for years.
Private meeting batenga mafoni noenda kuja nondo chitasani nambochita heba komanageti nambochita convince kuti imwe mulina option yabiri mfunika msankepo tukushene compensate oro mchinese akumangireni parody shop ma shops mavera maye parody akatumangira mchinese esa tipira kukansa manje outcome ngati outcome Chinese abwera ankari kuma shop petiri lero manje so batimangire parody maso za bwa kutichosa mapepa azitiri na hivi tabe mwaneliri bakatimangire parody hapa bakaendomanga pa parody tizambolipira zingati 2 pin per month and then tizongala tuma 1 meter if story muri tuma 1 meter bani chimozi mozati batigulisa era wani yeti ambolipira kuri muntu 2 pin era mashopu ni yatu ukanso tilipira every month 125 every Friday tilipira 5. The traders now seek the intervention of the head of state, President Hakainde Hichilema, who they have called upon to revoke the said license by the Chinese national, which they say was dubiously acquired with the help of some PF officials from the Ministry of Land, and have also claimed that they have the trading rights to the said land.
Bakuti muntu umozi aina ma properties kwa tikarangana mukaenda ku intercity konse kuja maroji yonse antikarangana yaja upeza ni yamu yaure ni muntu umozi isa tomato mashopo wanatipasako na ise ndi empowerment yatu sema youth ndaba otherwise sema youth kubetiri benchito sevenza sendenshi watu yameneyo market yesu kwa tupengela then I market toka ula kwa enda jindi amapepa ngaya tulijisatu iminina inoyo muchanyizi nguba uliha tonko kubala tuimbira tonko kubamba nyimbo himbi so tulombandu nyaba president kuti mwimandu swe pali migwahi amulange mashopu manji maningi ali 105 silinga vomele pakati parodi because nikalangana street inazula kudala banipisha pamene nankala nafika ini ninafika ne Zambia ne citizen banipisha pa place yamene nilili bapoleka pa mchinese nienda kuti pa president tilila.
Meanwhile, Area Councillor Mainda Smata, when contacted, told this reporter that the matter is above his office and that the named Chinese national indeed has title to the said land, and has advised those affected traders to consider engaging the Ministry of Land and the President, who has the power to revoke a title.
For the move to say if you want that property and the right people, there is no way he's going to have it. However, subsequently, that Chinese produced a document now, a land title. And when you know somebody, when they've got the title, that means they've got the right and ownership to that place. And what they wanted to do was to enforce that ownership of the title by bringing in Belik. And it was proposed by the same Chinese to say that he didn't want to remove those people from there, but he was going to provide the alternative shops. He was going to build makeshift shops for them behind the shop that he was going to build.
These 106 shops have since been earmarked for demolition, while over 300 traders may lose their trading spaces if the said foreign national with a title to the said land moves in and demolishes their shops as per notice that has been given to them. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News. That was one of the story that made headline in our news yesterday. A very sad scenario there, where those traders, are calling on the president to consider revoking the land title that was given to this foreign national. And of course, according to the councillor, this person has produced a land title dated back to 2016, which some traders were arguing to say, with the help of the people from the Ministry of Lands, this person had to backdate the date at which that land title was given to him to 2016, which is not true because they have occupied, imagine, that place as far as 2012. Some of them have been there for the past 10 years. And then today, suddenly someone appears and produces title to the land you've occupied for years. Where were they all this long? Why didn't they have come to that land 5 years ago? Or why didn't they claim that land 6 years ago? How come it's only now? And they are producing a document that was given to them in 2016. From 2016 till now, they've never gone to claim that land. So how has this foreign national found himself in a marketplace buying land inside the market? The Lusaka City Council, the local authority, Gary Nkombo, Minister of Local Government, where are you? We need answers to this particular story. How did we manage to sell land inside the market? Because if you've been to Lusaka at Big Mose, when you're just passing, going towards the roundabout there, when you're just entering Lusaka Central Business District, if you're using the route from Long Acres and then the courts, that road you're going, there's that, when you reach the roundabout as you're going up, there are these shops that are here. That shop is called Big Mose. Now, just behind that Big Mose, that's where we have these shops. But we have now a foreign national who's produced a title to the land inside the market, and these 106 traders who own shops. Remember, some of them have a shop, but maybe you are occupying 2 others, 3 others, you're renting one shop, and then you're sharing space. So there are over 300 of those traders who've been affected by this eviction notice. However, there was also an alternative that was provided to them. According to the councillor, they were told this foreign national has promised to construct them small makeshift stores of about 1 meter each. But 1 meter, for those who are sharing shops with others, I don't think will be enough. And then at the month, they will be told each month to pay 2,000 rent to this named foreign national. So how have we come to this as a country, that we are now even having land inside of the market being owned by a foreign national, and then backdated to 2016, because 2016 is not very far. This place already had occupants, because what I believe, government, maybe I need your help. If the place has occupants, before you can give it away, you first have to speak to the occupants of the place to inform them that that particular place is being sold. How do you sell a land which already has occupants? So this is one of the stories that made headline in our news yesterday. And if you have to comment on that particular story, you can give us a call, a contribution, a comment, send us that message on our Facebook page, and let's get to hear what is your comment with regards to this particular story, or how should we go about as a country, dealing with this matter. Because remember, the president is the only legitimate person who can cancel a land title. That's why these guys are appealing to President Hakainde Hichilema to intervene. But maybe also we will make an effort to talk to the lands minister, Elijah Muchima, to try and understand how this foreign national managed to buy land that has already been occupied by people. How did that happen? So even that will be one of the issue and part of the agenda that we will be putting up today on our diary. So we hope we can get to the lands minister, Elijah Mchima. Mr. Mchima, if you are hearing, of course, we will give you a call this morning to just try and understand how that land was acquired, because it already had occupants. And for that matter, inside of the market, I think market issues have to do with Ministry of Local Government. So how come the Ministry of Land managed to issue title to that particular land which has already been occupied by people and gave it away to a foreign national? I don't know. We hope to get answers to that particular story today. So also, on a sad note, the sanitation-based non-governmental organization has expressed concerns at the poor state of toilets at intercity bus terminals, stating that this needs urgent attention of the Lusaka City Council. Speaking to Camnet News, Clean Cities Initiative Chief Executive Director Watts Mwila notes that most toilets, especially in the male section, are broken down leaving toilets effluents flowing on the floor. Meanwhile, Lusaka City Council Director of Public Health, Victor Kagoli, says the Lusaka City Council has taken note of the situation as the matter has been reported. Zipporah Mshala covered this yesterday. Let's see this.
Despite being the biggest bus station in Zambia and attracting thousands of travelers both for local and international routes, the state of Lusaka's intercity bus terminus has left many stakeholders less than satisfied. This is after complaints have arisen over poor toilet sanitation and dilapidated infrastructure both at the toilets and around the facility. Videos emerging have reviewed broken down toilets and poor toilet sanitation.
These are the urinals, broken down urinals. You can clearly see urine on the ground. And people are paying for this service. How much are they making every day? Maybe 1,000, 500, I don't know. Millions. But they can't repair these things.
This is something that the Clean Cities Initiative, a non-governmental organization led by Wat Mwila as Chief Executive Officer, has taken up.
As Clean Cities Initiative, we would have urged the Lusaka City Council that they should break that facility and reconstruct a modern one. You see, as the situation stands, Lusaka, Zambia in particular, it will be turning 59 years in the next 4 months or so. So as a result, Lusaka should have really transformed. And when Lusaka transforms, then it means that it will be replicated to other cities in the country. But if Lusaka is in such a state, then it's questionable as to whether the authorities of the management of the facility really care about the people. Secondly, we also take interest in the public health. Remember that Intercity is the international station, but at the same time it's a station which it's a gateway to all the 10 provinces of Zambia. What would happen in such a status if an outbreak broke out in that facility? Someone would get cholera or any dysentery or any other type of disease, and they would travel with it to all other 10 provinces. And you see, infectious diseases, they travel so fast. But by the time you are going to detect those diseases or those symptoms from other parts of the country, it would have already spread.
Camnet News also spoke to Lusaka City Council Director of Public Health, Victor Kagoli, who says while having issued a notice to bus station management for the matter to be corrected earlier in February 2023, the responsibility of instituting punishment for abrogating does not lie under his office.
I'm not very well informed, but I think if you requested the Director of Housing, he will be able to give you, after they received my letter or my report, what have they done to try to mitigate the sanitation situation at that particular place.
Camnet News will engage the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development over the matter. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
There you have it, sanitation challenges at intercity bus terminals, where more especially on the male section, we could see most of the toilets there are broken down, and that has been forcing affluents flowing everywhere. You know, I know one thing that you wouldn't love as a person is to actually enter a public toilet and you find there's all this mess going around on the floor and stuff like that. And you know that sometimes that can be a contributing factor to diseases. Imagine you step on the urine which someone with maybe a particular condition had smelled. You will go with that bacteria on your shoe and you will enter maybe an office or maybe a bus and something like that. And then, you know, people will keep stepping there, like they all keep spreading and spreading, you know, that's certain bacteria. And sometimes you will realize that you enter an office and then someone drops food and then you know, you're just tempted to pick a biscuit, you just clean it and you continue eating because you don't even know who stepped there and who didn't step there and who didn't do what. So it is a public concern and an urgent need for the local authority to move in and quickly look into that situation. And then it is also quite disappointing. Your intercity every day accommodates thousands of people and the number of them use those toilets and pay. The question that we should be asking is the money that the people pay to access those facilities, where is it going? You know, let's not pocket everything at the expense of the health of the people of Zambia. You can't pocket money when, of course, the toilets are in a state that we just saw there on our news today. So the local authority, as per promised, they are saying they will look into that issue, and I hope it will be sooner than later, sooner than we expect. So that is a call and a wake-up call to the Lusaka City Council to urgently move in and look at that situation. So that was also one of the stories that made headline in our news yesterday. Then also, the Mandevu constituency member of parliament, Mr. Shaka Fuswa, has been arrested and detained for the offense of trying to incite political party cadres to rise against the Zambian police. Zambia police spokesperson Ray Hamonga states that Mr. Shaka Fuswa on 3rd of May 2023 in Ibex Hill, Lusaka, issued a statement inciting unruly PF cadres to throw stones at police officers who were on duty while executing a search warrant. The Mandevu member of parliament is currently being held at Lusaka Central Police Station. So we will also make a follow-up to this story to see if Mr. Shaka Fuswa will actually be bonded, because if he doesn't, he will have to spend Saturday and Sunday in police custody. So Mr. Ray Hamonga says when police were doing a search warrant at a premise, he was there and, inciting cadres to start throwing stones at police officers. I think as leaders, let's lead by example, where, police officers come to do a warrant, just step aside and give them, a chance to do their job. If they don't find anything in your house, well and good, your name is cleared out there. And if they do find something, of course, there is a law that has to be followed and the procedure before even someone can be prosecuted or arrested and stuff like that. Because sometimes you might even be in possession of properties that is yours. You legally acquired that document. It is your document. It is your property. They are your resources. But sometimes, they might be mistaken for being proceeds of crime. But, the police are there just to do their job, to prove you innocent, so that all those who are doing speculations can know that you are actually innocent against all that is being labeled on you. So let us hear what Mr. Hamonga said with regard to this matter.
Police in Lusaka have detained Honorable Christopher Shaka Fuswa, Member of Parliament for Mandevu constituency. Brief facts of the matter are that on the 3rd of May 2023 in Ibex Hill of Lusaka, the accused was heard issuing a statement inciting unruly patriotic front party cadres, instructing them to start throwing stones at the police officers who were on duty whilst executing a search warrant.
Police spokesperson Ray Hamonga there giving us an update over the arrest of Mr. Shaka Fuswa, who's the Mandevu member of parliament. And he has been arrested because he was inciting political party cadres from the Patriotic Front to stone police officers when they were doing a search at one of the premises in Lusaka's Ibex Hill. Then also, we know this issue has been topical, the issue of the public gathering bill. We know that, the president called for the amendment of some of these bills, but a consortium of civil society organizations has rejected some provision of the draft public gathering bill. Non-state actors say the bill still seeks to regulate and control public assemblies rather than to facilitate them in line with international best practices. Speaking on behalf of the consortium in the Lusaka Wednesday evening, Southern African Center for the Constructive Resolution of Dispute, SACOD Executive Director Boniface Chembe said the draft bill must be refined and submitted to Parliament. So that was the argument that is coming from the civil society organization with regards to the public gathering bill. So let us see what SACOD said yesterday, or rather Wednesday evening when they held a press briefing.
While seeming like it was making positive headways in making its way to Parliament, some civil society organizations, CSOs and political parties suggest that the draft Public Gatherings Bill is not ready to make its way to Parliament until some provisions are changed. The Southern African Center for the Constructive Resolution of Disputes SACORD, the Governance Elections Advocacy Research Services GEARS Initiative, the United National Independence Party UNIP, and the Movement for Multi-Party Democracy MMD, among other CSOs and political parties, convened Wednesday evening to point out a number of what they termed as red flags in the draft Public Gatherings Bill. SACORD Executive Director Boniface Chembe was speaking on behalf of the CSOs and political parties.
Key provisions from the draft bill stress the control and regulation of the right to public assemblies rather than emphasize the need to facilitate and protect public assemblies. D, the bill has no effective and timely appeal mechanism. This means the public has no remedy to challenge arbitrary decisions by the police. There is no mechanism to control and check the significant powers of the police to protect the fundamental right to peaceful assembly. C, the notification mechanism as described in the draft bill continues to constitute an approval and application process in scope and spirit. The focus of the notification mechanism needs to be on actions of the police that are required in the time frame to help facilitate the assembly.
MMD spokesperson Kefas Mukuka also added his voice.
As Mr. Chembe already alluded to, that time has come and time is now that we need to do away with the current status quo so that we move forward. Because the status quo has implicated innocent citizens who have ended up being victimized by the police for lack of understanding of what they're supposed to do.
They have called for the points of concern to be quickly refined and the bill sent to Parliament. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
There you have it. That is a consortium of civil society organizations who rejected some provisions in the draft gathering bill. You know, CSOs sometimes, they put a smile on our faces. Remember, there was a consultation that was made, and those CSOs were part of those who were sitting to do these, amendments to this bill. So the question that I was just asking is, when people are seated to do amendments, what do they focus on? Or is it that some people, pardon me, I'm not making reference to SACORD, but I'm just saying, is it that, some CSOs, when they sit there, they just go, you show your presence, you don't even really realize what is going on and what is being discussed, because there was consultations that was made when this bill was being drafted. The president assented to this, and, they did give a provision that this public gathering bill needed to be amended. So CSOs were consulted. And consultations did not just happen in Lusaka. In all the provinces, in all the districts in the country, people had to sit, you make resolutions. When you come up with a bill now, before it is taken to Parliament, CSOs come back. The same people who are sitting to amend this now come back and say, we are not impressed with some of the clauses that are there because it has not addressed what we wanted. Then where is the issue here? Where are we getting it wrong as a country? Is it that maybe government didn't do enough consultations when they were amending the bill? Is it that the stakeholders were not engaged? Or is it that maybe at the point where people were being engaged, they were committed with other things and they couldn't manage to be there? Because, the process of revising a bill is expensive. When you reject certain clauses, the process has to again be redone. And you know what that means? There's money that has to be spent in the sitting. So it's like you spend money today to draft this, people reject it and they say, we go back. It's like what you did at first and all the expense have just gone to waste. You now have to go back to receipt and do things. So where are we getting it wrong as a country with regards to these particular issues, more especially when it comes to the amendment of the Constitution? Because this is not the first time this is happening. Remember, there was amendment of the Constitution that happened, I don't know if that was in 2016 or a year before that. But we saw issues pop up when the final draft was given. Where people were saying, no, these issues, these other issues. We also saw the UPND by then when they were in the opposition, even, boycotting attending some of these consultation meetings, but when the final document is presented, there is all this debate that was coming in. So you would wonder to say, where are we getting it wrong as a country? Why don't we have coordination between the civil society organizations, political party, opposition political parties, those in government? It's like we never come to an agreement as a country, which should not be the case, because if we continue doing that, it is not just affecting you, it is not affecting me, but it is affecting everyone, including a newborn kid who needs health facilities in the hospital, but they have been made unavailable because resources that were supposed to be channeled towards other developmental aspects are now being channeled towards doing the same thing over and over again. So I think we need to come to terms and agreement as a country. Of course, working in harmony, working together, we can achieve more. We can go far if we work together as a country, including civil society organizations. So government, a challenge there has been presented to you. The civil society organizations have rejected some provisions of the draft public gathering bill. The one that was taken to the CSOs to debate about today, they've rejected it. So we will be hoping to get some information today from the ministry in charge of this. And I think this was being undertaken by Ministry of Home Affairs. They were the ones who were responsible for this, and we wish to get a comment from them today. And other relevant authorities, Ministry of Ministry, of course, of Home Affairs and Ministry of Information also. We hope, we know the minister is not around at the moment. She's not been feeling too well, so she's off. So we will hope to engage the permanent secretary, because they speak on behalf of the government. What is the way forward? Supposing we don't get through the Ministry of Home Affairs, we can also consult the Ministry of Information to just get information on this particular issue. So these were some of the stories that made headline in our news yesterday. Remember, when we started the program, we did apologize for starting the program late, because we had some technical challenges, and of course we had to allow our guests, we had to excuse our guests because we had technical challenges and we couldn't have kept him waiting. But we were supposed to have a guest in studio to discuss the Continental Free Trade Area. Is Zambia ready? Remember, yesterday we were celebrating the Africa Day under the theme Acceleration of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Implementation. So is Zambia ready for the Continental Free Trade Area is the topic we were discussing today, and we had to excuse the guest because when he came earlier we had technical challenges. But of course here we are, and we've got to just zoom into the stories that made headlines. So for everyone who has accompanied us this morning, the Friday, as we are going into the weekend, we will have to end our show here so that we focus on also doing other things. But if you have a news item that you would like Camnet TV to cover, please do send us a message on our Facebook page. It is faster for us to respond. In case you call our phone lines and no one gets to respond to you, just leave us that message on our Facebook page and we will be able to respond as quickly as possible. But remember, when you leave us a message, also leave us with your phone number so that we get to call you back immediately we see that message. There are instances where we've received a message but we don't know who to call, and we write back to you. It takes you almost a day for you to see that message. So let us ensure that we work together. Remember, Camnet TV is not just another channel, courtesy of my production manager and floor manager Amos Lungu and Mr. Elijah Chifita, who were on set, of course, assisting me today, and the entire Camnet TV production team. I was your host, Prudence Chota. But this is where we have to wrap up the breakfast show this morning. Till next time, it's bye-bye and God bless you.